What is steampunk for our viewers?
Steampunk, it's a difficult thing actually to define, and it's still evolving. So I'm going to give you kind of my take on it.
Yes, please
and
do.
And it's kind of my own brand of steampunk.
Sure.
So I think steampunk is a reimagination. It's reimagining if the Victorian period or the industrial age happened at the same time as our modern age, our information age,
right.
Computer age. What would have been invented, innovated, produced if these two periods kind of merged and came together? The fantastical and functional objects that would have come out of it, and how our culture would have totally changed. It's as if the computer was invented 100 years before it actually was, how things would have been totally different. So from my perspective, it is this way to bring together the past, present, and future kind of in one spot. And from what I do, which is steampunk art and design, I'm basically taking period objects, the antiques and salvage, and I'm integrating, infusing new technology. And so you got kind of the best of two worlds. You know, we had no idea what steampunk was, and we had restored it in a way which was interesting in that we basically wanted to bring in antiques and salvage, but not just have it sit there almost like a museum. We wanted it the pieces to have meaning, to have relevance, to have functionality and purpose. So we started to think about creative ways to be able to just take the technology we already had, right, and put it into these objects. And as we started to do this, we had actually some friends coming through, some younger friends, and they told us we were steampunking. It's like, steam what? I was trained in what's called Januszian thinking. Have you ever heard of that, Januszian?
No, I haven't. Tell us about that.
Okay, so Januszian comes from Janus, the Roman god who has, you know, two heads going in separate directions. Januszian thinking was coined by a psychiatrist, I think it was in the 70s, where he was interested to see how really creative problem solvers and inventors thought. What was their thinking process in terms of being able to come up with inventions and solve, you know, major problems? And he found patterns in terms of the way people thought, in terms of the way they organized their thoughts and the ways that they approached these problems. And he found that the pattern was that people were not thinking in linear ways. They were not thinking in, here's the problem, point A, here's the solution, point B, you know, draw a line and you're there.
Okay.
They were divergent thinkers. So they were basically thinking of two opposite solutions and then bringing them together, infusing, synthesizing them to create something new. So they have to reset expectations in terms of what, you know, what is going to be a success. It's very different from kind of what their parents viewed as success, being successful. So they're looking for authenticity, they're looking for meaning, they're looking for experiences, and steampunk is like totally set up in a way to be able to reach out to this audience. So yes. I really see my role not just to kind of create steampunk art, but to help not just millennials, but lots of people who are looking for meaning in life, kind of a new mission in life, yes, basically. Right. Because in the act of repurposing, with what we're doing with these yes. objects, we repurpose an object, you're repurposing a life. You're giving yourself the ability to think differently in terms of what something can be.
Absolutely.
And you're looking at an object. If you know, some people look at a chair and think, well, that's a chair. It's always going to be a chair. It was designed as a chair. But if you can think that it can be something else, that gives you, as an individual, the ability to think that you can be something else. So it's been very been very impactful for me to be able to impart that to people.
Sure.
We created Hue Machines, and Hue Machines is the combination of human and machine. And what we do is we represent, in an anthropomorphic type of way, Victorian, famous Victorian authors and inventors, and we bring them back as the machines that they either wrote about or created.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and so in this physical form, they come back, and of course there's a whole story behind it in terms of time traveling, because flesh doesn't time travel, if you know your kind of time traveling physics.
Yes,
and,
yes.
And so they have to come back as inanimate objects. So what they do is they pull together all of the objects that were important around them, and so now they've kind of come back as a repurposed steampunk machine to inspire a new generation.
Thank you so much for joining me this evening. This is so near and dear to my heart. I adore steampunk. I really hope that you'll come away from this episode inspired and encouraged and enlightened. And I really hope you check out some of the steampunk things that are online and just let your imagination run wild. It's a wonderful mix of Back to the Future. I'm your hostess, Victoriana Lady Lisa, and I bid you good evening.